Hello and welcome to the yoga class. My name is Ruben De Monte, and today I'm going to guide you through a 20-minute stretch and mobility session for the lower body. Let's begin in seated butterfly. It's going to be a passive stretch hold, which means that we're going to hold this stretch for a minute or so. You're going to bring the soles of the feet together. I wouldn't bring the feet too close to the hips as that gets quite intense for the back. Just go a little bit further forwards and then drop your knees out. If you generally struggle to sit up with your spine straight or to come into a butterfly position, I recommend sitting onto a brick or a folded blanket. That will help you to elevate the hips and find a little bit more space for your pelvis to hinge, putting less pressure on your lower back. So once you found your position, you're going to place your hands onto your ankles, and then you're gently pushing your thighs down as you lean forwards with your chest and your spine. If coming to this position is too far for you, simply stay upright and work with your breath as you try to relax your groin and your legs. So this is a great position to start opening your inner thighs, your groin, and just having a sense of how tight your hips are today. Direct your breath deep down into your belly. Let it grow into your rib cage. And then open the mouth and let it out. Breathe deep down into your abdomen. Expand into your lungs. And let it out. Breathe into the sides and the back of your rib cage. Exhale out. Okay, begin to lift yourself up. Stretch your legs forward and just give them a little shake. We're going to move through a 90-90 right and left flow. So you're going to bend both knees. Your toes are going to be pointing up. And to make it easier at the beginning, just walk your hands away from your hips with your fingers pointing back, allowing your spine to lean back. And from here, we're simply dropping the knees down to the right. And as you get into this position, try to find a 90 degree angle with both legs. Then you're going to lift one knee. The other one follows, and you're over to the left. And this is a great way to warm up your hip joints, moving through internal and external rotation of the hip, which are two of the primary movements that we are supposed to perform daily in order to keep our joints healthy and supple. So if you want to make it a little bit more challenging, you can walk your hands closer to your hips, coming a little bit further up with your spine. Again, if this feels too far and tight for you, simply keep your hands back. And gradually with time, as you practice more and more, you'll be able to find a little bit more space and freedom in your hips. So if you want to make it even more challenging, you can bring your palms to touch into prayer. And you're going to not use your hands. Look, mom, no hands. And you are rolling from right to left. So this requires a little bit more strength in your hips and a little bit more range of motion or space. Let's do one more rep to the right and the left. And then we're going to move on. So your hips should feel nice and warm by now. You can give your legs a little shake in between postures. And we're going to get straight into a glute stretch or a seated figure of four. So your left foot is down onto the ground. Your right ankle steps on top of your left thigh. And again, your hands could be far away from your hips. And you're simply staying here and breathing. If you want to intensify the stretch, you're simply scooching your hips closer to your front foot. A little hop. And the closer your hips are to your front foot, the more of a sensation you will find around the outer side of your glute, which is the target area of this posture. We're going to stay here and breathe. Aiming to breathe deep down into the abdomen, into the lower back. Take one final breath. All right, we're going to come into a twist with glute stretch. So keeping your figure of 4, you're going to roll over the left side, planting the right foot down onto the ground. Drop both sitting bones down onto the mat. And if you feel any pain around the knees here, in particularly your bottom one, you can straighten your bottom leg. You're going to keep your right hand down onto the ground. Your left hand is going to hug your right knee. And you're aiming to squeeze your right knee towards your left armpit. So the more you find this connection, the more you'll be able to stretch the outer side of your glute, which is often tight if you run, if you walk a lot, if you cycle, or if you sit down a lot. Take one final breath here. And then release from the stretch. And give your legs a little shake. So we are preparing for side 2. Your right foot steps down onto the ground, your left ankle on top of your right thigh. And at the beginning, just understand how tight you feel in this position. The closer your hips are to your foot, to your front foot, then the more you will feel it around the outer side of your left glute. Breathe deep down into your abdomen, into your lower back. And after your next exhale, you can roll over the right side, planting your left foot down onto the ground. Now aim to bring both sitting bones down onto the mat. And again, if you feel too tight in this position, if it doesn't feel right for your knees, you're going to extend your bottom leg, and that will just give you a little bit more stability. Our aim really is to continue stretching that left side of the glute. So you're going to wrap your right arm around your left knee, and you're going to try and squeeze your left knee to your right armpit. You can add a twist by placing your left hand onto the ground and gently rotating your rib cage. Breathe and allow your left sitting bone to move down towards the mat. Finding that connection will help you to get a little bit deeper into the target area. One final breath here. All right, and then we release. Good stuff. Uncross your legs, give it a good shake. We're going to come up into tabletop for a series of lunges. So you're going to swing your legs back. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips. Anchor your toes, and to begin with, just circle your hips. Big, big circles of your hips. Feeling that movement around the lower back. Wiggling the tailbone from right to left. Okay. Breathe, downward facing dog. Curl your toes under, lift your knees and your hips. Maybe paddle your knees, your ankles, just checking in with your calves and your hamstrings. Then lower both knees down onto the ground. And we step only the right foot forwards, lifting up, taking both hands onto hips. Uncurl the toes of the back foot and begin to feel your tailbone lengthening down towards the mat. Find a gentle squeeze and engagement through your glutes and the pull of your inner thighs towards one another. And with this engagement, begin to rock your hips forward into a deeper lunge to the point where you feel a nice stretch around the front of your left hip. We're going to do it a little bit more dynamically. So we shift the weight back and then we shift it forwards for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Last one, we stay. Place your right hand onto your right thigh. Keep that engagement of your glutes and then reach your left arm up. Come into a side bend over to the right. Keep pulling your inner thighs towards one another. We are stretching the psoas. Breathe deeply. You can take one more breath here. And then release that up arm down and place both hands on the inside of your front foot, coming into a deeper lunge or lizard lunge. Allow your hips to move forwards, stack your front knee above the ankle. Lengthen through the spine and lift your heart. If coming down onto your hands feels a little bit too far, you can place your hands onto bricks. We're going to move into a hamstring stretch, so you're going to straighten your front leg. And as you get there, you're going to flex your toes towards the top of your head. Allow your right sitting bone to move back, your right heel to push down towards the ground. Let's do it dynamically. Bend your front knee. Move your hips forward. Straighten your front leg, toes to forehead. If your hands are not on the ground, place bricks underneath your hands. Let's continue coming forwards. And then hips back. Hamstring stretch. Coming forwards. And hips back. Coming forwards, we stay. Keeping your back knee onto the ground. And if you feel any discomfort underneath your back knee in these positions, you can always slide a double up blanket or a pillow for some padding. We're going to try and lift the back foot off the ground. And as you get there, make sure that you are right at the base of your thigh and not onto your knee bone. Then release the back foot down. Let's do it for 5 times. Foot comes up. And then we lower it down. Foot comes up. And then we lower it down. We've got 3, 2, and 1. All right, walk your hands back. Shorten your stance. Place your right hand onto your right thigh. Come on up straight with your spine. We are moving into couch stretch. Be super solid with your right hand. Make sure that your feet are not in a line. You just want to have them a little bit wider for stability. Begin to bend your back knee. Grab hold of your left foot with your left hand and then gently squeeze your heel towards your glute. Couch stretch. Breathe deeply. Notice if your tailbone is sticking out. Try to lengthen the tailbone down, and that will help you to connect even more to the front of your left leg. You've got 3 more breaths. One final breath here. And then releasing your back foot down. Stepping that right foot back. And then we go downward facing dog. Paddle of the knees, of the ankles. Okay, we're going to move straight into our second side today. So you're going to bring the knees down and you're going to step your left foot forwards. Again, make sure that your feet are not in a straight line. You just want to have them a little bit wider. Take your hands onto your hips, uncurl the toes of the back foot, lengthen the tailbone down, squeeze your glutes, and find a pull of your inner thighs towards one another. You want to feel that engagement around your hips. With that feeling, move forwards, lean forwards, and then come out of the stretch. And we'll do it for 5 times. Leaning forwards, and we come out of the stretch. This really is just an exploration and a way for us to understand how we can engage the hips, how we can find strength into the hips in order to open up different areas. In particularly now we are working the hip flexors and quads. Okay, as you lean forward, stay. Left hand over left thigh, right arm reaches up. We're coming into a side bend over to the left. Take a couple of deep breaths here. Lengthen the tailbone down towards your knee. Gently hug your belly in. And one final breath here. To come up. Hands pop down onto the ground. You can slide your back leg a little bit further back. We're coming into our lizard lunge. Stack your front knee above the ankle. You could be up onto your hands. You could be keeping your hands onto bricks. Just a couple of breaths here to settle into the posture. Before we move into our hamstring stretch, so you're going to straighten your front leg. Your toes are going to be pointing up. If your hands are not reaching the ground, place hands onto bricks. And let's continue coming forwards, left knee forwards, long spine. Front leg straightens, hamstring stretch. Coming forwards, long spine, lift your heart. Front leg straightens, heel pushes down, sitting bone back, toes to forehead. One last rep. And as you come into your last lizard lunge, if you need padding underneath the back knee, use it. You could have a double up blanket or a pillow. If you feel any discomfort, you're going to lift the back foot off the ground, rolling over the top of the knee, and then you're going to lower it down. Let's do it for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, walk your hands back, shorten your stance. Make sure that your feet are not in a straight line, go a little bit wider. Place your left hand onto your left thigh for stability. Roll over the bone of the knee, and then pick up your foot. You want to be right at the base of your thigh. Grab hold of your right foot with your right hand, and then gently squeeze it in. Tendencies in this posture is to move the tailbone back. Allow your tailbone to move down as you lengthen through your spine. Your pelvis is connected to the muscles on the front of your leg, so changing the position of your pelvis will help you to target the front of your right hip. Take 3 more deep breaths. All right, great. And then release. Take that back foot down onto the ground. Both hands come down onto the mat and step back into your downward facing dog. Paddle the knees if you need to. And then take them down onto the mat. Swing your legs forward, and it's time to lie down on our backs for our last sequence of stretches today. Have your feet as wide as the mat. Reach your arms forward and then slowly roll down through the spine. And if you need assistance, use your hands around the back of your legs to roll down. Okay, so bring your right knee into your chest. Stretch your right leg up and then cross both knees. Take your knees in towards your body, then begin to walk your hands towards your feet. Use your arms to bring your feet towards your armpits as you gently squeeze your knees towards your chest. Make sure that your hips stay down onto the ground. Take a couple of deep breaths here. All right, and then release your feet and then cross your legs. Now bring your left knee up towards your chest. Cross your right knee underneath. Bend both knees. Walk your hands all the way towards your feet. And if you can't catch your feet, just go for your ankles. Try to open your feet to the side and then use your arms to bring feet to armpits, knees to chest. Breathing as we hold the posture. Take one final breath here. And then release your feet. Place them onto the ground. Walk your feet as wide as the mat. Knock the knees together. One hand on belly, one hand on chest. Close your eyes. Take a big inhale through the nose. Open the mouth, let it out. And if you wish to rest here for a little longer today, you can do so. If not, thank you so much for practicing with me and the yoga class.